Hi. Today I'm going to talk about reorganizations. When is it time? The first thing that I'd say is I'm not a big fan of reorgs. They should be rare. You should make sure it's the right time. Make sure there's a reason behind it. So that's the first thing I always like to say is I'm not a big fan, but there is a time to do them and they're important. The first consideration or the first reason to think about doing a reorg is the size of the team changes. If I have a 300 person org and I'm adding 100 people to it, might be time to consider a reorg. If I have a 300 person org and I'm losing 20 or 10 or 20, maybe it's not the right time for a reorg. One of the other aspects about becoming bigger that I think is important is the fact that if new teams are being added, so multiple times in my career I've had new teams added. We'll talk about some of the aspects of that in a later video. But an example I'll give, and this has happened a couple times in my career, is the VP above me has new teams getting added, but he never does a reorg. And the issue there is, as these teams come in, do they believe in the values? Do they believe in the principles? Do they believe in do they have something to do with the mission statement? And all too often in those particular orgs, is as teams came in, we found more and more teams were doing the same work, but because there wasn't a real sync around how things should go in the organization as teams came in, it really didn't help. And so that's one of the things to think about. If new teams are coming, make a decision about whether it's time to do a reorg, but at the very minimum, as those teams come in, think about values and how they're going to fit if we're not reorging them within or doing a change to the organization that you currently have. Another aspect is business opportunity changes. And there's two that I think about, which is a new opportunity arrives. The current team I'm on, new business opportunity came. We did a reorg to focus on that new business opportunity. And that's the right thing to do because we needed to win that market. We wanted to invest in that market. And so we changed the organizational structure so that we could put a focus on that particular new business opportunity. That to me is the perfect time to consider a reorg. Another example would be, is there a shift in business opportunity? And what I mean by that is you think your opportunity is here and it shifts a little bit. The example I'll give is, a long time ago, I worked on SharePoint V1. When we were first building the product, we thought we were going to sell the document management portion of it. And it turns out that at Beta 1, the feedback we got from our customers were they loved the portal aspect of SharePoint Portal Server. And Jeff Teeper, I think, Jeff Teeper was the PUM of that release. And he made a shift. It wasn't a big shift. It wasn't like a huge org change, but we did make changes. Different people moved to focusing on that business opportunity because we all felt we wanted to deliver what the customer wanted. And at Beta 1, the customers were very clear. It's that portal features that they really enjoyed. Obviously it was the right decision. SharePoint Portal Server is one of the fastest selling server products at Microsoft. So, and it's still today a great product that people use. Another aspect is doing a reorg because the organization is not meeting goals. Now, to me, if that's the only reason, I'm not sure that I'm doing a reorg just for that, because there's other ways to probably fix that. That said, some structures can cause lack of accountability. If I have a structure that's based on the architecture of the product, then business metrics might not have good accountability within that org. If I structure it as verticals, then I have this layer of the architecture pieces, the services may not have accountability. So you need to think about, why am I making this shift, and make sure that you have accountability in place. Again, I'll talk about what I call soft structure and hard structure within orgs in a later video. Another reason organizations may not match the leaders you have. And so what I mean by that is, if I have an organization where the leaders are new and they're not as experienced in working across organizational boundaries, I might need to think about changing the org structure to make the boundaries easier for leaders to work. If I have more experienced leaders, being able to do something that's business metric driven, because I know the team will be able to work through the architecture issues, that might make sense too. Another aspect I want to bring up is silos. For me, silos are bad. I hate them. I can't imagine in my head. Maybe there's a reason to have them, but for me, the answer is I don't like them. And to me, it's worth, if I have a siloed structure and duplicate efforts are happening on multiple fronts and I'm not getting the efficiency out of my org, to do a reorg to break the silos, to get teams to that structure to help teams drive together, to me is sometimes worth doing, even if it's just for that. But I think, those silos can cause a lot of business value lost, because if teams aren't working together, if teams aren't able to find ways to help each other because they've been siloed, that to me is a big thing that I would want to fix as quickly as possible. So these are my thoughts about when a reorg makes sense. Again, I'd like to say I'm not a big fan of reorgs. They should be rare. You should have a purpose. And thank you for watching. I appreciate it.